Alrighty, welcome in everybody to week 3 of the Lucky Bets portion of the Lucky Shots podcast. I am Ricky Larson, joined by Dylan Corbett. He's here. He just had to go let his dog in, so we'll pick it up from here. But great fourth week to the NFL season. Sticking to being just as unpredictable as always. Dylan, how are you today?
Good, Ricky. Good to be back. Yeah, you said it. Positive the 2 weeks ago. Tough week this past one. My Falcons, the underdog pick of the week, basically winning that entire game. And, of course, in the most Falcons way ever, watching J.D. McKissick just soar through, 10 yards of people into the end zone. It's crazy. I mean, the Jets get on the board. Tennessee, what do we know about them? It's just the NFL for you, one of the most surprising sports.
Yeah. What really stuck out to you this week as far as just how everything played out?
Sure. I mean, Brady and New England was interesting. I felt like everyone in the world was on Brady and the Bucs, and that was just a classic. I mean, the Bucs they look great, but they've had some trouble covering these large spreads. I mean, that's been something that I was glad to see that Bill Belichick was so kind of warm to Brady. Not necessarily on camera, but it was reported that they had like a private locker room meeting after the game. I mean, other than that, yeah, I think the shock was Tennessee laying an egg. Denver loss, you can't really look too much into because Teddy Bridgewater got injured. That was another play. It was like, great. Okay. I mean, this is chalked up as an L because the QB gets injured. Arizona looks great. I think that's got to be the story is Buffalo. I mean, they're still at the top for me. They made that look like a college score, 40-0 against the Houston Texans. But yeah, Arizona went in and smacked a undefeated division rival, and they did it in a huge way with 37 points.
Oh yeah. So I have to apologize because I kind of went on a small little rant on my show last week about why Tampa Bay and New England should not have been a primetime game. That the only reason it was because of Tom Brady and yada yada. The game actually was a good game, and I was pleasantly surprised. So I do have to apologize for that because it was a good game.
No, it's a good point, though. I mean, the amount of graphics they had ready to rock for that game just for the return. It was cool. Rainy night in Foxborough. That place was loud. They kind of gave him a salty return. Like it wasn't I was kind of shocked by that. But maybe not shocked in the same way because it's New England. But yeah, it was a heck of a game. The primetime games, I don't know what it is. And that's, conspiracy crackpot theories, but it's, it's a little odd. They want you to have close games, right? In these prime times, they don't want you turning away. And the NFL is a way of doing that. But yeah, good game nonetheless.
All right, so without further ado, we will hop into the best betting lines for this upcoming week. Dylan, what do you got for us?
Yeah, so a 3-2 week and then a tough 0 for this coming week. The Jets spoiled that. Mentioned I thought we had the Falcons in the bag the entire way. Denver injury hurts, but hey, we lick our wounds and we move on. 4 plays this week. We're going to begin with a bounce back for the Rams. Seattle gets the underdog win on the road at San Fran. They had a quarterback injury too. Trey Lance looked better than Garoppolo, and they still really weren't able to do anything against Seattle, who's looked lackluster this year. So I like the Rams at a bounce back -2. I know it's at Seattle, but I think this is going to be an early game, so it's not like it's going to be extra kind of 12th man. Let me just double check that. Yeah, I believe it is going to be in this noon slate. So that's going to be interesting. And it's a short line. I like the Rams to bounce back in a big way. Cardinals are good. Are the 49ers that good? I'm starting to wonder. So I like the Rams short line here on the road -2 at Seattle.
Yeah. And is it just me or does Seattle kind of look like they're starting to do this, starting to go just down a little bit? And it's kind of what we saw last year. It didn't happen this early, but it's kind of what we saw last year. Russ started out great. That offense started out great. And then just slowly they start going down and down and down until they just aren't looking very good. So I definitely like the Rams this week. And sure, they had a tough game against the Cardinals, but the Cardinals are just continue to show every week just how good they are. So I think the Rams easily, That's a good line.
You mentioned Seattle. I had it wrong. It was so high on my screen because it actually is the Thursday night game. I forgot. We've got a great Thursday night game coming up in just a couple of days. So actually, we'll be posting this after. So we'll see if the Rams can get it done. Should be a hell of a Thursday night game. We're all going to be watching. And yeah, you said it. Just a couple of stinker performances for Seattle. Losing at home to Tennessee, at Minnesota. They weren't really in that game. They get it done against San Francisco. I like the Rams in a bounce back here. Yeah.
All right. Sweet. And your next one.
Let's do it. Yeah, let's flip to Sunday. I mean, the Washington football team. Come on. That should have been a win. I couldn't believe that. Speaking of good one week, bad the next, the New Orleans Saints, who had both New York football teams winning this weekend. That was a nice little money line parlay of underdogs. First win for both teams. New Orleans off a bounce back. They've laid an egg once week. Remember 2 weeks ago, they throttled the Patriots, who all of a sudden look a little better. So this is a classic case of football team off a game they probably should have lost. Another short line for a road favorite. Saints, again, I don't know if it's Jameis Winston. I don't know if it's Sean Payton, but here 1 week, gone the next, and we're kind of playing that card. Remember, they were great against, I mean, people forget it was 38-3 against Green Bay in week 1. I mean, how's that looking now? My goodness. And then they stink against Carolina. They throttle New England. They lose to New York. Let's see if they go back and get it done in a bounce back effort.
Just the trend of week to week, bad, good, bad, good.
The NFL is a great way of doing that.
And I mean, Washington,
I mean, you had that game pegged from a get-go in terms of knowing there was going to be a lot of offense. Cordell Patterson went off for you in your fantasy plays. Yes. And Heineke looked great. I mean, that was just an offensive effort. I had J.D. McKissick starting in my injury-rattled team, and he found he killed my heart with the end zone, but I'll take it for the fantasy points. Yeah, the Falcons found a way to just be so Atlanta.
Yeah, I got to go back to Cordero Patterson.
Yeah.
When you're seeing this, I have already made my rant on my other show about Cordero Patterson.
Yes.
I love the man. And in the certain league that I started him in, he scored me about 40 some odd points.
Oh, yeah. He was
very good.
He was
I ended up losing the week. First time I've lost in that league because Logan Thomas got hurt and put up a goose.
Yeah.
And then I needed 8 points from Dan Carlson last night. And
yeah, a rare off night for Carlson.
They had a chance to kick a 50-yarder to begin with.
Yeah.
They decided to go for it. Then they get a couple extra points sitting at 2. So I'm like, okay, here we go. Goes to kick that other 50-yarder and pulls it. And I'm like, all right, well, my week's over now. So
right.
Fantastic. But no, Cordell Patterson, man. I talked about it on yesterday's show. Go
Falcons. I mean, Matt Ryan looks better because of Patterson. That's the London game this week, which is going to be so interesting. Staying away again. I can't go the Falcons again after what they did this week. Jets coming off. I mean, this screams kind of Falcons off a game they should have won. Jets, their first win. Now they're going to London with a rookie quarterback. This screams the Falcons, but I can't touch it because I know they're going to screw it up somehow.
Don't want to bet on the Jets there at all?
I mean, again, that's coming off the I went. There were a lot of people on the Jets, I will say, this past weekend. So again, I knew something was up, and they ended up winning it. Yeah, I mean, that's just a tough one, but we'll see. I'll just watch it as a plain fan. I will be betting against the Chicago Bears on the road. Another kind of Phantom of the Opera team, great at home. Fields looks very solid. Lesser opponent coming in, the Lions, right? They almost made it a game a little bit in terms of the cover at the end. They've been terrible on the road. Again, Fields, he got thrown into that game against Cincinnati. Coming off a big home victory, Bears fans are starting to punch Super Bowl tickets. Not so fast, my friend. I think Las Vegas coming off a tough loss on the road against a good Chargers team we just saw on Monday night. -5.5. I think they get it done by a touchdown or more. Vegas at home.
Yeah, and like we said, it was kind of an off game for Vegas, period. They've been really good all year. They just
And we've touched on this, is starting to slide a little bit after a fast start because it was a come from behind effort against a really bad Miami team we're seeing now.
yeah.
And now they lay a stinker against the Chargers. And I'm not pushing the panic button yet, but if this game doesn't go the way I think it is at home against the Bears coming in, it might be time to at least start to worry.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, the Bears, how does it affect you betting on the game if, say, David Montgomery, who is questionable with some sort of knee injury, they're confident that it's not a ACL or anything like that, but if he's not playing, kind of where's that put your confidence in this game?
That's a good point. It's tricky because my thinking there is, it almost relieved the pressure off of Fields because it forced Nagy to turn him loose. They're kind of, all right, Fields, you don't have our number one running back option. Go make a play. And I think he stood up to that task, as opposed to what he did against, Cleveland, where he couldn't get, they were so docile in their offense. And then on top of that, they couldn't really get any protection from Myles Garrett and Jadeveon Clowney. So again, it would hurt the run game, but you got the run game back there regardless in field. So tricky to analyze that, because in one way, I think it might help the Bears just in terms of, hey, maybe you can open up the playbook a little bit to air it out and keep things close with an air it out team like Vegas. I'm interested to see how kind of Max Crosby and Carl Nassib do against this Bears line. Pretty decent defensive front there for Vegas, and we'll see if they can get to Fields or not and make this a blowout.
Yeah, especially since Cleveland ate up that Chicago offensive line,
and they just did the same against
that
Minnesota.
The Raiders defense is as good as Cleveland, but those two guys on that Raiders line are fantastic in my opinion. So
great. My final play here, a little 4-play card for this Sunday, and you include the Thursday bet, so I guess we'll see how that went. San Francisco, tough. Even with Trey Lance, you weren't able to kind of mask that comeback. He did look good. Shanahan still mums the word. He's still saying, hey, there's a chance Garoppolo plays. I like this either way. Arizona at home, -5.5. A couple of AFC and then NFC West teams I like at home as 5.5-point favorites, and the Raiders and the Cardinals. I just think this is going to be a shootout with Murray. Is Lance going to be able to keep it up? You saw Russell Wilson do to a 49ers defense, 28 points. I mean, it's still a good defense, but it's scoreable upon. And let's see if Arizona could do it by a touchdown. I think if Garoppolo was maybe starting and he wasn't banged up, this would be closer to like a 3-point game. Maybe the public is kind of driving this to about 5.5, but I still feel comfortable Arizona, not only by a touchdown, but say this goes to overtime, they scored a touchdown, you cover that as well.
Yeah. And again, I love Arizona. I've got Murray, I've got Hopkins. I actually even have Max Williams sitting on my bench. Went and picked him up just as a thought, and a couple weeks in a row, he's done pretty good. So, but San Francisco, is almost starting to look like last year with all these injuries. Yes. They don't really have any running backs that you could confidently be like, okay, this is the guy that's going to kind of tote the rock, get him going. Now Jimmy G, and he kind of came out and was just like, I think I'm just getting old.
Yeah, which is crazy is Brady's
heard all last year, like kind of banged up a bit this year. So I think they just need to stick with Trey Lance to give that offense some sort of like stability. Mm-hmm. Because they don't have it anywhere else. So
agreed.
I guess we'll just have to see about it. All right. So talking about those lines, first off, would you go ahead and explain what we're kind of betting on here?
Sure.
Betting on these lines.
Yeah. So, I mean, as simple as it gets, I usually like doing for the show kind of sides, which is picking a team and how much you have to win by. So it's not only with Arizona -5.5, they have to win by 6 or more to win your bet. If they win by 5 or less, that's a loss. Yeah, so I mean, I had a bad week on the show last week doing sides, but I had a good week kind of personally on totals. So I like totals too. That's basically betting on how many total points you think is going to be scored in the game. You get a lot of bad beats here if it goes to OT. Pick sixes can ruin these, but those are always fun too if you don't really have a good lean on which team you think is going to win and which team you think is going to cover like for a primetime game. You want to have some action. It's the only game on. You don't really know who's going to win, who's the better side. So you play the total. You could do props. The NFL is great with these. These are fun on top of fantasy sports. They usually come out kind of the day of the game, which is kind of tough to kind of do, as we're doing these lines early in the week and then posting them later. But those are always fun to do. And, they range from total receptions, total receiving yards, rushing, passing yards. I mean, you could do first person to score a touchdown for like great odds. I mean, there's so much fun, different stuff you can do with that. Parlays are always fun. It's basically you have to pick a couple of bets. It's not just one bet. If you pick two bets, but you're not so confident about it, so I don't know. It's kind of parlays are for the fun. Hey, let me bet $25 and try and win $200. Like that's where you get the best odds, but your chances of losing it are obviously higher because you have to do more picks. But that you could do the money line plays, right? Like, so Arizona is -5.5 at home. So if you're like, yeah, I like Arizona, but I don't know if I like them to win by a touchdown, then you're going to have to lay -240 for their money line, which is them just a straight up win. And so that in essence would be if you were betting $100, if you wanted to win $100, you would have to bet $240 to win 100 based on those odds. So again, that's something where you probably want to pair, say you could do Arizona and Las Vegas, pair those together, money line parlay, and you get positive odds on that. So yeah, something simple like that. Next week, we can even talk about teasers. Maybe we'll do one because that's always kind of the last leg of betting that usually is tailored to NFL football.
Gotcha. All right. So shall we hop into DFS?
Yes, let's do it.
Those quick money plays, and then we'll get you out of here.
Sounds good. If you just give me a moment to filibuster here while I pull some stuff up. Sure. What did you think of Brady's return to New England? Were you kind of somber? Were you expecting him to just go? It was tough because it was raining all night, right? So he just did the Brady thing and wanted to win and grind out a victory.
Yeah, I mean, for being honest, I don't give a shit about Tom Brady.
TB12.
And like I said, I wasn't super excited about the game as it was because Tampa Bay looked real good. New England hadn't looked real good. But, Mac Jones kind of rose to that occasion. And
they rushed for minus rushing yards, and they were just throwing, and he looked good. He didn't look like Herbert, but watching that back-to-back nights, they looked similar.
Yeah. It was a good game. I could appreciate that it was close. Maybe the weather had something to do with it. Weather is always a great equalizer in a lot of games. But, Tom Brady.
Tom Brady, not your cup of tea, keeps on winning. Yeah. All right. Looking at quarterbacks, got to stick with kind of my play here, Matthew Stafford. I actually loved this because I was on the over in the LA Rams Arizona game, and Stafford throws that garbage time touchdown to Robert Woods, which wasn't garbage for those on the over. So again, Stafford's going to get his points. He's going to air it out. Henderson's their back, who, they kind of use him as a weapon more as a runner. I think Stafford against a little bit suspect Seattle team. I mean, look what Trey Lance was still able to do, just kind of being thrusted into his first, real extended action. See if Stafford at 6,500 could get some good value.
I mean, yeah, I've been happy about the whole Stafford situation all season. And 6,500, that's a pretty good deal on him right there.
Yeah, it's another one of those because that's the Thursday night game. So if you're doing like kind of the Thursday to Monday DFS leagues, are essentially, I think that's one that kind of slips under the radar for people if you are in those full leagues. And once it's posted, we'll see if he got you some good value there, if he got it done.
For sure. So for my quarterback, I've got Aaron Rodgers.
Hey, Raj. Yes.
Spending up on the quarterback. 7,100 there, but they play Cincinnati. I just like what I've seen from the Packers minus week 1, which I think was just a fluke. I don't know what happened, and I don't want to try to explain what happened.
Football, that's it. Yeah.
But other than that, Green Bay's been looking good. Rodgers has been looking good. Him and Devontae Adams getting that connection going. How about him and Randall Cobb this past week? I mean,
I had him on my bench in a league, just racking up points, 2 tutties.
Yep, it's starting to look good. So I like Aaron Rodgers. I like him against Cincinnati, who, they're playing really well, to be honest. But they're not a stellar defense by any means. And I see Green Bay taking the game anyway. So
yeah, I was thinking about putting Green Bay on there. They're at Cincinnati, only short 3.5, but Cincinnati's been decent, and so they didn't cover against Jacksonville, but they were favored, right? So that's what's tough. Now they're a home underdog, which is more interesting. But yeah, you said it. Green Bay is absolutely rolling. I hit them against the lowly Steelers last night. They covered. A-Raj. So I thought about it, but I pulled away because it's going to be an interesting game. But I like that play. Running backs, I got kind of 2 options for you. If you're going to break the bank, go Henry. That's what I did this past week. It looked like it wasn't going to work out, and then bam. And then he finds the end zone and he gets you 20-plus points. Right. He's going to do something similar to a Jacksonville defense. Austin Eckler, my God, this guy's everywhere. I like him as a more feasible option at 7,600. Henry's at 9,000. Eckler, guy could do it on the ground, through the air. I think against Cleveland, if this is going to be a shootout, what a yuck fest that was in Minnesota. I mean, fantasy-wise and just kind of watching. I don't know. We'll see if maybe there's a bit more offense in this Cleveland matchup because the Chargers are always going to bring it, and it's usually through Eckler.
Yeah, and in real fantasy, I made a fairly big trade for Nick Chubb. Didn't necessarily pay off because of that yuck fest of a game. So
right. Crazy.
And especially for what I gave up, I needed something a little more in return for that first week. But,
sure,
we live, we learn, and we get better. My running backs. So I'm spending, kind of up. He's been looking good the past 2 weeks, playing the Giants that are not good. Zeke Elliott, I think I'm finally in on him. Have had a couple of weeks of him looking like the old Zeke. This offense really moving the ball. So I like him for 7,000 against the Giants. And then again, I said it last week, I'm riding the wave of Cordero Patterson. I don't care who he's playing. No. I don't care what the matchup is. He's always going to be fairly cheap, 5,900. He's playing the Jets, which is an upside.
Yes.
And he doesn't get a, bunch of touches, but 7 yards a touch actually is his average right now.
Mm-hmm.
Plus he gets touchdowns. Like, such a good play. But
Matt Ryan certainly looking for him. Sorry to interrupt you. Yeah, he's definitely a veteran quarterback, definitely looking like, hey, I've got a kind of a crappy offensive line. I need to get the ball out quick, and they find a way to give Patterson some space.
Well, and how about that one touchdown? I think it might have been touchdown number 2, where Patterson actually looked like a wide receiver.
Yeah, yes. Jump ball, went up and got it between a couple of defenders. He's showing out.
Yeah, I like him. And remember, that game is the London game, so it'll be on early in the morning.
Yeah, a cup of coffee, especially for you out in Mountain Time, right?
7:30 Mountain Time. Yeah. So, but remember, because you don't want to wake up and be like, I'm ready for football, and a whole game already happened. You got to get up.
No kidding. That's the worst.
All right, over to you now for your wide receivers.
Receiver short and sweet here, just kind of keying in on one guy and letting the rest of the roster fill out. But Amari Cooper is kind of who I'm building around for the second straight time. Him and Dak have got something brewing. Pretty, excuse me, beautiful touchdown. Cowboys beat a good Carolina team. On a different note, I'm kind of eager to see if the Eagles are for real or not. I thought they were because they destroyed the Falcons, and then they're hanging tight with San Fran, and maybe I was just hanging on too long because they get blown out in prime time. They pretty much get blown out by the Chiefs. And now, I mean, that's good Lord, that schedule for Jalen Hurts has been brutal because now they got to go face Carolina on the road too. But I mean, let's see if you can make that a game. Don't let them walk over you, Sam Darnold and company. How about Sam Darnold, your rushing touchdown leader? That is something.
Sitting on my bench, so we'll see if he ever decides to make his way onto my roster. For me, quite a few budget plays here. Going with Antonio Brown, playing Miami. Feel like that's a good matchup. 5,200. Jamar Chase against Green Bay. I'm just gonna continue to bet on Jamar Chase. He continually has a long touchdown or a long catch or something like that. If you can get 1, 2 of those, or just start getting a lot of targets. But last week, very upsetting because I plugged in Jamar Chase into here. CJ Uzama, is that how you say
yeah,
it?
the tight end.
The tight end
Uzama
goes off for like 50 points, and people had him as their captain. I didn't like it. I was upset with it, but it happens. And then Devontae Smith, he had another good week last week, kind of a bounce back from 2 down weeks. And it just makes me hopeful that he is their number 1 receiver. And he's 5,900, so still a decent play.
My tight end play, I went with Kelsey. I overspended right with Travis Kelsey, and he just didn't really do anything. I mean, Mahomes didn't really need him. He had Tyreek Hill. So I'm gonna avoid Travis Kelsey this time. Again, it's shooting darts. Pat Freiermuth did not get Luth. Logan Thomas got banged up. Higbee started like he was going to be good, and then he's been fine. How about Jared Cook? Herbert's looking for him. Red zone target. Again, it's like, is he going to have a game? Is he not? 10 points per game. There's only like 4 or 5 tight ends that are consistently getting in double figures. And Cook's one of those fringe guys. So I'll roll with him 3,600.
I'm rolling on Dalton Schultz. Honestly, he's had a few pretty good weeks, the last 2 weeks at least as well. He's had a touchdown or 2. So I like him. He's again playing the Giants. The Giants aren't great against anything defensively. So that's who I'm going with at that tight end position. He's 4,400, betting on a touchdown.
Yeah. No, he's got 2 2 in the red zone already. He is one of those guys that's consistent. He's 3rd basically on a points per game effort, best tight end out there, and definitely some value because he's not that far away from Waller and Kelsey.
Right.
Good stuff.
So then at your flex, who's that kind of very, very budget play for you?
Yeah, that's a good call here. Again, looking for the guy that maybe is off the radar of people, the guy that can maybe have one of those games that comes out of nowhere. Lord, always tough. I always think about Nicole Hardman, but you never know who the Chiefs are going to kind of target in any given time.
Well, and some news. Josh Gordon, not only was he signed after being reinstated by the Chiefs, Andy Reid said there's a possibility he's going to be on the field this week.
Another deep threat. Who knows? It'd be interesting to see what his price comes in at if he does get rostered. You know what? Let's go. I think the New England Patriots are going to keep throwing it. They like what they saw. Mac Jones, they're playing, I believe, in a dome against Houston coming up. So an opportunity for Jacoby Myers in the flex at 5,600, a guy that's getting targets, had a decent game last night against Tampa in the rain. Let's give Jacoby Myers a guy here in the flex spot.
I'm going Corey Davis.
Yes.
Been waiting on something to happen with him and the Jets. Finally, this past week, it happened against Tennessee, who's not bad, but
Yeah.
we would like to think they are now because they couldn't beat the Jets. But anyway, they're going against Atlanta, so
Yeah.
Andy's,
No worries there.
He's I kind of budgeted all of these players. I don't have a whole lot of this guy is going to be my main workhorse and everybody else fills in. Kind of just stuck to budget everywhere. And, it's going to require everybody to hit, but everybody's got that chance.
Yeah, no, definitely. I like that lineup again, too. And you must have had a pretty good weekend behind Patterson this past week. So let's see if you can double dip.
About Patterson, and that was it.
True, yeah.
My normal fantasy lineups did pretty well. Had guys like Debo, Tyree.
Yes.
So pretty good elsewhere, but
exactly. That's the beauty of it, is having your DFS, a couple of the leagues, regular and fantasy. So yeah, well mapped out.
For sure. Anything else you're kind of looking forward to this upcoming week?
Looking forward to a good Thursday night football battle between the Rams and Seahawks, right? Kind of who is battling at the top of that division now that Arizona's running away with it as the lone undefeated team left. Yeah, I'm going to keep an eye on the morning game to see if the Falcons can, they should have won a couple in the row. The schedule had it lined up if they could have just got it done against the football team. So personal preference, I'm going to be keeping an eye on that Falcons game. I mean, Carolina, Philly intrigues me. Green Bay, Cincinnati. I think we got a good week of football ahead. And it's kind of in Buffalo, Kansas City. How could I forget? Sunday night football. So that's probably going to be the crown jewel. NFL football off and rolling here. A good start to the season so far.
Finally, a good primetime game that I can get excited about.
That's going to be a good one to watch.
And, love Josh Allen from Wyoming. Finally starting to rise into the star that he should be. So always fun to watch. So that's it for today. Don't forget to go like Dylan's everything, go check out his YouTube, all of that. Dylan,
appreciate it. Yeah, just Dylan Corbett, as simple as that. DYLAN CORBET. You could check out some sports gambling, some sports talk there. I'm gonna kind of do a little breakdown episode today that could be out there. I was thinking about doing something cool we talk about a good NFL week. The MLB postseason's kind of starting, and it's going to have, I'm a St. Louis Cardinal guy, diehard, so I'm going to be all over that Wednesday. If this interests you at all, I've been kind of like theorizing, and I don't know if I'm going to do it, but maybe for something in the future, but like doing like a live watch along party, where it's like you could watch if you're not doing anything, you don't have a bone and you don't have a team in the race for the Cardinals. Standalone wild card game Wednesday night. Might get a couple of Cardinal fans on with me on a Zoom and do like a YouTube live over a couple of beers so you could see us suffer or cheer. But that might be in the works. Yeah, just kind of doing cool stuff on our YouTube and social media, etc. Not unlike what you do here, Ricky.
Talking about MLB baseball, wild card, my Yanks.
Yes, tonight. That's going to be Tuesday night. We'll see how this comes out. Tuesday and Wednesday here is baseball's night, and we'll see if they can get some good games.
Oh, for sure. All right, Dylan. Well, thank you for being on again, and thanks everybody for watching. Don't forget to join us weekly. This on Fridays, other show on Thursdays. Join Dylan whenever he pops up. Go follow him on Twitter and that stuff because he'll post when he's put stuff out. So thanks for watching, everybody. We'll see you next time.